Hello, 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 and good afternoon, evening, time of day, whatever it might be for you. I am your host, Xavier Storditz, and welcome to Faction Turn 61 here for Beacon Space as we head into the final 3 faction turns that we will have for our game as we wrap up the story we are telling. Right, so with that in mind, this is what our sector looks like broadly. Amelhart's assets are still around. I'll probably take them off at the end of this turn, and now that they won't be able to take any actions, just so that folks are able to look at this with a little bit more clarity. I'll leave any worlds they have controlled with the purple background, though. We won't get rid of that. With that said, I don't think I have anything else to start things off with. So let's just jump right into processing the faction turns. And I totally didn't just, like, in the last 30 seconds of the pre-stream realize that I didn't put the turn orders in yet and totally do that. So, yeah, that didn't happen. But in case it did, we're now in order. So let's go ahead and get things started with the Assembled Commonwealth up first today. They're going to be taking the repair action and the seize planet goal. But first, let's start off by increasing their cunning up by 1. So, Commonwealth's cunning goes up to 6. This costs them 12 XP, bringing them down to 1. Their income actually goes up by 1, guaranteeing them 7 faction credits of income. We should be sure to grant them that appropriately. Then, on their turn, they have a few things they want to do. 1 second. There we go. Apparently word wrap had been turned off in Notepad, which is unfortunate, but I have fixed that. So let's go ahead and get things started. First off, we have a free action to move an Armageddon mech that is currently located on Ingrid to Tellus. This triggers the Pirates tag. On Ingrid, Armageddon mech. This one is, of course, ignored by the bank. Ingrid. There's lots of things on Ingrid. Here's the Armageddon mech. That moves to Tellus. They're then going to use the anchorage station on Ingrid to move itself, the 2 grav tank formations, over to Tellus as well. So that's you, grav tank, anchorage station, and the other grav tank. That triggers another faction credit for the pirate tag. We're going to then activate the transit web that's on Idarast to move the 2 hostile takeovers, 3 commodities brokers, and 2 party machines that are on Idarast back to Tellus. Excuse me. Yep, back to Tellus. So Tellus, Idarast, commodities brokers 1, 2, and 3. Party machine 1. Hostile takeover 1. Not that. That stays behind. That stays behind. That's the second hostile takeover. I feel like I missed a party machine. 1. I'm blind. We, not sorted. Nope. Okay. Transit web. Informer's asset. I think there's only 1 party machine. Probably was destroyed and hasn't been appropriately handled. These informers are dead. Let's go ahead and get rid of them. And this party machine is dead because it's at 0, so let's get rid of it. Clean up the rest of my 0 HP assets at the end of this turn as well. Alright, I think that's all the movements then. If I've missed something, they can let me know. We're then going to process that repair, so we'll repair their faction HP first. So first off, I'm going to level up. They should be at 41, and then this is repaired all the way up to 44 by spending a faction credit on it. They're then going to repair the hostile takeover asset that is on Tellus. This one right here, up by +7, so that's 8 HP now. Then they're going to use the Tellus Ruin ability to heal this by 1 more, so that's 9. And then we are going to repair up a few other things. So we have a pre-tech infantry, a pre-tech manufactory. Pre-tech infantry. That one's now at 16. What else was it? The pre-tech manufactory. That one is at 16. I believe they have another one. That one's at 16. Oh, this ascended up a stratum. $16. There we go. There's the one that's damaged. It's at 8. And then there are 3 commodities brokers. That one goes up to 10, 8, and 10. Fantastic. And then finally, we have just their goal to check for. So let's charge them for all of these things. First off, that Armageddon Mick was 1 faction credit. The Anchorage Station was 2 more in movement. The Transit Web was an additional credit. Faction HP Repair was +1, so that's 5 in total. There's a hostile takeover on Tellus that should be repaired as well. Did I get that? That one's at 9 HP. Yep, okay. Okay, so 5, 6, and then they have 20 written down for the next set of repairs. So 26. I believe that's all correct. 26 faction credits to the bank, and then 2 to Dahora. I believe that is all correct. Let's go double check the pirate tag. Also will cost 1 extra faction credit. Fantastic. Transaction ledger 61. Cost 26. Oops. And paid to Dahora 2. That should be all correct. Fantastic. Is it per movement or per asset arrived? Never remembered. That's kind of why I went to double check the wording. The movement of the asset onto world costs an extra faction credit. I think that is per activation, so the transit web itself costs just an extra +1 to make the connection. That is the end of their turn, though. We do have a seize that completes on Longza. Let's grant them an XP for that. And Planetary Governor is the assembled Commonwealth. Fantastic. Up next, we have the Children of the Vein. You're going to collect their income of 8 faction credits. And then they are going to also take a repair action. So let's run through everything they're doing. Children of the Vein, first off, they are activating an extended leader asset on Icaros to move a pre-tech infantry asset currently on Heliositis to Tellus. This triggers pirate tag number 1, but of course that's reduced by the bank that they have. Up next, they are activating a transit web that is on Heliositis to move a transit web on planet AI to Tellus. And then they're going to activate it again to move 2 hostile takeovers that are located on Heliositis to Tellus. Oops. This is what? 2x hostile takeovers, so that's 1. Where's number 2? What is this with not being able to find people's assets today? Hostile takeover 1, hostile takeover 2. Fantastic. And then we have a final activation between Idarast and Tellus to move a commodities broker, a party machine, and a medical center. Medical center. There you are. And party machine. Right there you are. Then finally, we're going to activate the Anchorage station that is on Idarast to move itself back to Tellus, along with a grav tank, formation, and 2 pre-tech infantries. That one's on Icaros, so it's not that one. What else is on Idarast? That one. Okay, that's it. And then finally, we have an extended theater asset to move as well. Fantastic. We're then going to activate the Armageddon mechs that are located on Idarast to also move back to Tellus. We're going to heal up the commodities broker on Tellus using the Tellus ability. So that's +1 there. And they're going to repair the Armageddon mech, which is currently at 14 out of 20 HP, up to 20 for a faction credit. And then our Tellus movements. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count 6 different activations that moved towards Tellus. -1 is 5 faction credits there. Okay, so 5 faction credits paid out to... Let's keep this the same order. That's 5 there. To the bank, they paid 1 faction credit for the extended theater activation, 1, 2, and 3 for 3 transit web activations. 4, 5, 6 for the Anchorage Station moving. 2 more for the Armageddon mechs. Brings us up to 9. One, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Then 9 because of the repair. Okay. I think I've done that math all correctly for their turn. That wraps up the Children of the Vade's turn for this faction turn. Don't have any assets with other statuses. Nope. Great, which means we get to move on to the Umbral Triumvirate, who are going to boldly roll 3d6s, with only one of those getting a +1 from a Harvester's Income. So, 61 income. Or the Umbral Triumvirate. One puny faction credit there. But Generation, also only 1 faction credit. And that's, of course, their turn in the classic case of the Umbral Triumvirate. Coming up fourth this faction turn, the Ascended Epistratum, who are going to continue on their move homeworld goal, which means, of course, they don't get their regular stat income here, so -6 to their income, only giving them a total of 2 faction credits worth of income. But that's okay. They are going to use that income wisely to purchase a Book of Secrets asset. Book of Secrets, which of course costs them 20 faction credits. I'm gonna buy this on the World of Icaros. And it has Purchase Sickness. Are they buying this on Icaros? Excuse me. Yep, they are buying this on Icaros. Fantastic. So that is their turn, and we will just go charge them 20 credits for that purchase. Congratulations to them. Up next, we have the Starlit Court coming in 5th this turn. They are going to collect an income of 8 faction credits, and then take the attack action. But of course, before they attack, we do have some movements to roll out. So first off, we're going to spend 3 faction credits to move some Armageddon mechs around. Where are their assets? Here they are. They are moving an Armageddon mech from Grail World to Skyless Reach in Quetzalcoatl. They're going to be moving 3. 1, 2, and 3 Armageddon mechs. They're going to move 2 Armageddon mechs from Grail to Kuzimu. And then they're going to attack the jailers. The 3 Armageddon mechs that are in Quetzalcoatl are going to overcharge to have advantage. They'll attack in Kuzimu, also overcharging to have advantage on those attack rolls. So let's go roll these out. So they get to move quite a distance. So these are Force v Force rolls, of course, with advantage granted to the attacker. Starlit Court's force is +6. The jailer's defending here with a +6 as well. So let's go ahead and roll the attacker first. So 2d10, keeping the highest one, +6 is a 15. Oof, that's quite a defense that would need to be mustered up by this first jailer asset, which we guess we should decide which one it is on Quetzalcoatl. which they will defend first off with their own Armageddon mech for a 9. So that is a successful attack by the attackers, which will then deal 2d8 damage plus 3. So let's go ahead and see how that works out for them. Only 6 damage, which is a pretty low roll for 2d8 plus 3. And of course, a d6 worth of damage to the asset itself is 4 damage. So, Starlit Court's first Armageddon mech on Quetzalcoatl takes 4 damage, taking itself down to 15. The Jailer's Armageddon mech on Quetzalcoatl is armored. It loses that armored status, but 6 is reduced to 3, taking it down to 17 HP. Up next, we have a second Armageddon mech that makes the exact same attack rolls, except this time the Jailers are going to roll and overcharge their own mech on defense. So let's see how that turns out. That's a 13 for the attackers and a 16 for the defenders. So the Armageddon mech defending wins that time, which is a 3d4 plus 3 damage. For the defending, 3d4 plus 3 for the defending. Oop, that's only 2d4. Let's roll another d4 there. So 11 damage on the defense, and we need 2 separate d6 rolls. We'll do that in the same order, so 3 to the Jailer's assets damage and 5 to the Starlit Court. So the Jailer's one took sorry, the Jailers here, wait, what order was that in? So being consistent, we should roll for the attackers first, so 3 damage to the back on the attackers, 5 damage back on the defenders, so this goes down to 12 HP. Down in the Starlit Court, we find their second Armageddon mech. It takes 11 damage from the counterattack and then 3 from the overcharge, taking it down to 6. The last attack will be blocked here with a Strike Fleet, so the attackers roll 2d6, or 2d10, keeping the highest one plus 6, versus the defenders that will only be rolling 1 die this time. They'll roll a 7, woof. So 2d8 plus 3 damage against the defending Strike Fleet for 11. That will destroy the Strike Fleet, and 6 damage to the Starlit Court's Armageddon mech here, taking that one down to 13. For this. And the Jailers, have an armored Strike Fleet. In fact, so they won't lose it all the way, because 11 rounded down, divided in half and rounded down is only 5, so it'll survive with 3 HP remaining. Fantastic. Finally, we have some attacks against this Strike Fleet in Kuzimu. These are the exact same rolls, so the attackers rolling 2d10 or a 13 on their attack roll. A 13 on the defenders is a tie. So, both sides get to roll damage. Let's roll that 2d8 plus 3 for the attackers. So that is 12 damage. The Strike Fleet get a 1d8 counterattack. Counterattack damage of 7. And then the self-inflicted damage from the overcharge. Both assets take 12 damage. So this Strike Fleet here on Kuzimu is also armored, so it in fact only takes 6, taking it down to 2. And the Starlit Court asset here, first one on Kuzimu, takes 12, taking it down to 6 HP. And we have one last round of these attacks, so the attackers get a 10. The defenders roll an 11, so that is just a successful defense. 1d8 in counterattack damage is 1, only 1 damage that time. 2 self-inflicted damage, so a total of 3 damage to the Starlit Court's other Armageddon mech, taking it down to 17 HP. That is the result of all of their attack rolls. So that's fun. And of course, we just have one other small thing to do. We're going to take a free action here to try and find a research base on Caratris. It's a difficulty 10 roll, but it is, or it's a difficulty 8 roll, but it is outside of their constellation, I believe. They've mentioned they are spending some faction credits on this for a 10 to make that a success. So sector objects here. Need to figure out what planet AL was renamed into. Planet DH is need the DH apparently also needs a fix. Caratris research base 1, 2, 3. Why not? Research base. I believe that is the fix as well for those. Fantastic. So that completes their scout system goal, giving them an XP, taking them up to 5. They did spend some money this turn by moving some assets around and various other things. So costs from the Starlit Court to the bank are a total of 10 faction credits. Alrighty then. Up next, we have the Jailers coming in 6th this faction turn. They are taking a buy asset turn and moving, hopefully, some assets around. So first off, the 2 Strike Fleets and Armageddon mech that's on Quetzalcoatl are moving their way over to Eris in the 1207 hex. Jailers, here we are. Eris. 1, 2, and 3. The armored status is lost, as well as that purchase sickness status. They are going to then move from Kuzimu to Kuzima in 1715, and the strike fleet out in the Dagger system is going to move its way up to the Eku system and be on Sep Chow. Or Cho. Something like that. I've totally butchered the that word, but we're leaving it there. Then of course they're going to use their one neat trick to double all of their assets here. So don't mind me, as we just copy paste. These of course all get purchase sickness. And they're also going to go ahead and acquire that new Armageddon mech for their actual purchase this turn. They're going to be buying that on Sept Cho, which is this one should be at 20. Everything else keeps the damage it's taken. So the Jailers have gotten quite a bit stronger, as one might expect. Right, let's appropriately track that they have doubled, and of course they won't be able to double again for the rest of the game, so that is potentially very reasonable. We shall see. They, you know, they could get a an extra strike fleet, but I think they have enough strike fleets on the map for me to want to worry about it. So I'm not going to give them an extra strike fleet. You get the beneficiary of Xavier wants to have to come up with one less movement order for the jailers, given I just doubled their assets anyway. So, yeah, that's the way that will work, which means we just get to move on to the Concord of Mutual Disdain, who are going to spend some XP. They're going to spend 9 XP to level up their cunning to a +5, which does not affect their income. They still only get +8 faction credits worth of income. We'll be taking the Expand Influence turn. And let's see what that gets them. So, 61 income from the bank. So first up, we are going to move a smuggler's asset of theirs from planet DV to planet DW. Secondly, they're going to then expand influence on this planet. And planet DW, fantastic, for 1 faction credit. They're then going to modify their constellation, which I will take care of off stream to just fix all of the hexes. They aren't the only one changing that this turn. They're then going to distance dilation the Armageddon mech here on Rimuru to move its way over to Idarast. They're then going to move Armageddon mechs from Rimuru, at least the other 3 of them, over to Tellus. 1, 2, 3. And then they're going to heal up one of these Armageddon mechs that is damaged to 17. They're going to actually activate this twice, spending an extra faction credit for it to heal that one up as well. They're then going to move the mech in 1817 on planet AZ to Kuzimu, which is very unfortunate given that the jailers have just moved to Kuzima. And yes, I do curse them slightly for giving me planet names in the same hex that are just 1 letter apart. It definitely isn't to make all of us double check where we are moving things to, I'm sure. That said, that is the end of their turn. So we will go grant them 1 XP for completing their Expand Influence, and then charge them for all of their costs this turn. They spent a grand total of 1 credit to move the smugglers, 1 on expanding their constellation. They moved 3 Armageddon mechs with the normal things, and they activated the Tellus effect an additional time for a total cost of 6 faction credits there. That 1 final mech movement takes them up to a total of 7 faction credits. Rolling right along, we are going to smash into the Mimnos Harpifab's turn, where they will collect a total income of 6 faction credits for their turn as they take the exploration action and move a few assets around to support such an endeavor. First up, they have an Armageddon mech that is currently located in the hex of 0518, and it's going to move to 0318. And there is a strike fleet of theirs on Idarast that is going to move into the space hex of 0813. So I'll have to fix the map for that. They're then going to explore 0318. They will, of course, aim to succeed at cost. So this is a d10 roll plus Mimnos's thing, which is +6. It is 2 hexes away, so that is difficulty 12. which they managed to get. How many planets do we have in this spot? Just a single planet, which looks something like that. Okay. Let's go replace this system with planet EB. Do I know what I'm on? Do I have notes for this? Sometimes I have notes for this. I have a note that the next planet should be planet DX, so let's try that. This world has the mechanics tag of +2 to cunning. Add 2 cunning assets. Gain +2, lose 1 from the other one. There are millions of people living here at TL0 technology. It is an invasive atmosphere, but it is a variable cold and only has a microbial biosphere. And finally, it has the tags of Holy War and Friendly Foe. Interesting. No ruin. A ruin roll of a 12 on this planet will not recover one, and I think that may in fact be our last point of interest. Indeed it is. We have successfully, after 61 turns, revealed the entire map. Fascinating. Last off, we have a D10 to roll for a ruin excavation. Believe that is just a +1. So, ruins. Which one? There we are. That is up to 6 out of 8. Fantastic. They spent 2 faction credits this turn on their movement. Oops. And gain 2 XP for completing their goal. They also complete the Seas of Planet BX as well. So let's go find that for them and make a note. Up next, we have the Larkspur Combine, taking an income of 5 faction credits. They're then going to just activate all of the things that they could roll to make some money. So we've got 2 D6s on some party machines. That's a single faction credit there. We have 2 different post-tech industries. That's +2 faction credits. That's -1. So 1 + 2 is 3, -1 is 2. Finally, we've got a harvester, which just barely makes faction credit. +1 for a total of 3 faction credits worth of income. That is the extent of their turn. They have no costs, so we just get to move right along to the Agumala Syndicate, who are taking the goal of scouting a system and then following that up with the attack action. But I think most of their targets have moved, quite unfortunately for them. But we will go through this together to double check. Come from the bank to the Agumala Syndicate of 6 faction credits. So, up first for them, we need to move an Armageddon mech, the Silver Wings of Aniti, from the world of Tellus to Idarast. Wait, I have misremembering their targets. Their targets, they still exist. Up next, we have the Rites of Spring that is going to move to Idarast. And then we're going to have the Viridescent Fangs also move to Idarast. Those all cost 1 faction credit each. We're then going to activate the Covert Shipping on Nueva Cuauhtémoc to move the Informers from the World of Responsibility to Nueva Cuauhtémoc. That's a basic influence. That cost a faction credit. All of those movements taken care of, we have some attacks as they attack the Assembled Commonwealth on Idarast with all 3 of their Armageddon mechs, the first one using the Warlike tag. We have had another faction volunteer to defend here, so the Concord of Mutual Disdain have a Armageddon mech of their own, currently located on Idarast. Where is it? Right here. They actually have 2 located on Idarast. So, did they specify which one? I don't think so. With our mech there, so we'll just follow the same thing, and I'll use the one up top. So, these attack rolls, we already know from earlier, are Force v Force. So Agumala has a Force rating of 7, Concord has a Force rating of 6. So our first attack is 2d10, keeping the highest one, plus 7 for the attackers. So that is a 12. A d10 plus 6 for the defenders is a 16. I think our defenders have picked up... I think our defenders have been the 2 that have rolled a 10 both times today, which is pretty interesting to see. Well, we know an Armageddon mech defends with 3d4 dice for a total of 6 damage. Back to the attackers. Agama Syndicate. There's the first one that got moved to Idarast right here. So it goes down to 11 HP. Up next, we have the Rites of Spring, repeating these attacks, except this time without advantage. So a d10 plus 7 is an 11, a d10 plus 6 for the defenders is a 12. Woof! 3d4 counterattack damage, again, this time dealing 8 damage, taking that Armageddon mech down to 12. And we repeat these attack and defense rolls for, oh boy, only an 8 for the attackers, and a 13 for the defenders. The dice were not happy today. That is another 8 counterattack damage to the final attacking Armageddon mech, the Silver Wings of Initi, taking it down to 8. Fantastic. That is all of the attack rolls that I needed to roll, so we just have one final thing, which is to try and discover some moons out around El Arpon. This is a d10 plus 6 roll versus DC 8. A 9 will just barely do it, finding us a single moon around this location. Moon 87. Moon. Fantastic. Costs for this turn for them are from the Agumala Syndicate to the bank was a total of 4 movements, so 4 faction credits, and I was told I missed some Concord and Mutual Disdain to Tellus movements, so there were 3 of them that need to be accounted for. That should catch up both of those mistakes. Finally, for the councils in our world, we have the Tellus Council coming up with faction turn 11. They are going to lose a little bit more than 1 faction credit. They're actually losing 4 now. I don't know how they let their budget get that unbalanced. But yeah, that's a little unfortunate for them. But I'm sure it's fine because they're just gonna roll some dice here and make some good money in the meantime. So a d6 or that post-tech industry of theirs makes 2 faction credits. They're then going to roll for 2 different pre-tech industries, gaining a total of plus 8 faction credits between the 2 of those. They then have a harvester to roll for, which rolls another faction credit, so 11. They're then going to roll for a party machine that also makes a faction credit. That is quite about the best outcome I think they could have gotten, other than triggering a reroll into one of these better outcomes. So that is 24 faction credits generated after the doubling effect that kicks in for them. I don't think the 4 faction credits they spent this turn will be missed all that much. Last for our factions this turn, we have the Tahora Y, who are taking the inside enemy territory goal, goes figure, collecting their 17 faction credits worth of income, and then going to take the expand influence action. But we have some movements to work out for them first. So they are going to move an anchorage station to Tellus, along with the surveyors, the Oruro. I don't know why I try. I should right, that moves there along with the anchorage station that is also on Mancuraniti. They're moving their space marines to Tellus, as well as a strike fleet to Tellus. Strike fleet. Where's their strike fleet? Strike fleet, there it is. They're then going to move the 2 Armageddon mechs on Serenin to Puluhan. So there is 1 and 2. They're then going to move the Armageddon mechs, the Loud and Proud, from Tellus to Quetzalcoatl, and they are going to join the Loud and Proud with the Lampas. And then we are going to activate the covert shipping, the Rays of Lights on Dine, to slingshot the Space Marines from Tellus to planet BG. Space Marines, somewhere on here. There they are. Planet BG in the 0313 system. They're then going to activate the covert shipping, the Ekin Berknath, to move the distorted lens, the Calare Boscarania? Something like that. Again, I don't know why I continue to try. I just these are moving to Imiaria out in that hex. They are then going to be expanding influence on 3 different locations. So Uluj, and then Peningar, and planet BG for 1 faction credit each, with their base of influence. Fantastic. They're also going to update their constellation, which again I will change off-world, and then or off-world, off-stream, and then they are going to run their Warlords tag here to try and change Planet H. That is a DC 14 and is a D10 roll that is now adding +9 as a result of their constellation changes. They are just hitting that DC to be able to make this update for Planet H. That was not what I was trying to do. Planet map, Planet H. Warlords is becoming ritual combat. Fantastic. They had a goal of inside enemy territory that grants them 2 XP, taking them up to 7, and they spent a grand total of 15 faction credits on this turn. That is the end of that. Let's go ahead and see who gets a new lens, which of course it's our friends in the Starlook Court. Congratulations to them for picking up a distorted lens asset on Langan. This one, of course, has purchase sickness. Alright. I think that is it for this faction turn. I will make the small changes needed so that the map works in just a few minutes, as well as a few other various updates that may take me a little bit longer to get processed, but I will make sure everything gets corrected as needed. Did I typo your income to 178? Oh, that's right. I almost typoed it. But I did catch that one. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in for Faction Turn 61. We will see you in just a few weeks as we will run into Faction Turn 62. If you want to change factions, make sure you're getting that submission in by Monday. It'll run then, and more than likely, you can expect the December Faction Turn stream to take place on December 13th, so that we have a little bit longer to account for the Thanksgiving holiday, but we don't run too much later into December and hit Christmas holidays with too many problems. Hopefully, that's the goal anyway. That's what I'm currently thinking about. So expect to see a full schedule sometime this weekend. But yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you next time. Goodbye.